Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Atlas. I'm joined by 100 Thieves, Papa Smithy, and LS, aka Leandri's spokesperson. We are up to game number 5 between DAMWON and Kingzone. And finally, gentlemen, we have a best of 5 on our hands, going the distance in our playoffs and our Worlds Gauntlet. It has been so cut and dry this far.
It was
finally
wet.
We found it.
It was damn wet in game number 4. There were so many moments in that game. In fact, the winning moment was probably TusiN suiciding to kill a cannon minion just to get into a spot when Naehyun could win the game with a Nazir engage. There were other huge moments in this game. That's just the game. It's been a really entertaining, watchable series, even if it hasn't been close in the early game for games 1, 2, and 3. But all of that somehow needs to be packaged, put away, one game to go over to the play-ins, one game to be the 3rd seed at Worlds. It can only be one of Kingzone and DWG.
And now we'll have to find out what is going to evolve in the draft, because as soon as Kingzone completely shook up what they were doing, it looked very different. This scaling advantage that they're able to pick up. Red side now going to be claimed for DAMWON. Of course, side selection in game 5, very important here in this series.
And let's zoom back to the early games, because remember the Lucian Braum second round duo lane from Kingzone was one of the trends that wasn't working for them. They couldn't really play through it. Looking back at the bans, it was frequently the same bans from Kingzone. They stay the same. The first pick, Gragas, will also stay the same.
Oh, Akali slipped through.
Because a Zir ban was added in. They've decided that to put Naehyun off comfort is the most important thing. Remember that Kingzone's recognized Akali player is Rascal. This is not usually a Naehyun champion.
And it is going to be responded with the Kai'Sa, which has risen up in stock value as far as victory is concerned. Deft piling that to a win, and the Gragas as well.
I think this is a draft win, though, Atlas, because they get Gragas on red side, and consider the Kingzone have the problem of, if we don't take Akali, it's Korea's best Akali in ShowMaker, so they first picked it, and it's not usually as big a pick for Kingzone as it is for other teams. So it's one of those moments where, wow, Akali's open, we got to take it, but what does it actually mean for your 5 picks? It could actually mean an overall loss of power.
Well, do you play Sejuani Yasuo here? I mean, theoretically, you could do that to block the Yasuo pick here from ShowMaker. Does pseudo work, doesn't work off the ultimate, but does off the Arctic Assault. See whether Naehyun does want to do that. His Azir has been banned, of course.
Where are the confidence picks? Because we're definitely in a spot where confidence picks start coming through. For example, we have the 2 solo lanes and also the Sejuani, but Camille's a flex pick here, so we'll wait and see.
Both
if
of
it will
them
be
being a flex.
Yeah, exactly. The Akali usually top for Kingzone, but Naehyun has, I believe, played it once so far this season. Wasn't spectacular on it, but it happened. They will be duo laning in their 2nd round, and Atlas, I'm going to make a prediction. I don't think it will be Lucian Braum this time. I think we're going to see a Deft Golden Oldie. We could just see Jinx come out in the next round, because remember, Deft has an incredible career win rate, and in a game like this, where if anything happens, the crowd will go insane. The 3.5 hours you played is going to be playing back and flashing back in your eyes. You need to be as comfortable as possible. Kog'Maw also has that winning matchup into the Kai'Sa as well, and could be considered.
I was thinking the Kog'Maw, that was the champion that's been on my mind throughout this series as far as a Deft pick is concerned. He was always known as that one guy that could still stutter step with the ridiculous attack speed. Like, he's incredible at positioning on Kog'Maw in teamfights and getting out the most damage, but whether that's going to happen or not is something that we'll have to find out after DAMWON have made their next pick. And the Aatrox was picked instead of the Yasuo.
And it can be harder against Gragas to pick those no-escape AD carries, so would be a confidence pick for sure. They're removing lane pressure by taking away the Thresh, which could be comboed with one of those immobile AD carries, so Lucian Braum would definitely make the Kingzone fans very disappointed. The Braum support's looking very likely, though, as DWG could pick it away.
There's an interesting pivot here. If Gragas goes support, where you go Karthus jungle.
Okay.
And then Gragas goes support, and then you go Gangplank to answer both Camille and Akali.
With an AP cannon. Sounds great to me.
Not anymore. Alright.
Is Deft going to do it?
In a world where?
Deft is not a Draven player.
He is not a Draven player.
Conventionally, not a Draven player. He's going to hover it, though.
Has he played it so far in his career?
Now, Deft is an old-school Vayne player, even though Imp was usually the more recognized one on the Samsung days. Do you go That way, the Lucian locked.
And we're going Shen. Okay.
Now, this actually makes some sense because it's not as lane dominating, and they have a 1-3-1 identity with Akali and Camille, both takeover champions, and Shen can back them up and get those extra kills.
And the Stand United is not something that a lot of teams have been playing against lately. We've seen its power in the LCK when it was picked before. Definitely looked like people were not prepared for it. I believe it was Griffin versus SKT we casted the game.
Yes,
SKT
in the final.
Didn't respect the Stand United of Shen.
Yeah,
it's
that was the one game.
When if you're practiced against it enough, you play around it. But when you're not, you tend to have a lapse of judgment. You commit to things that look winning, and then suddenly the guy starts having a giant purple shield, and you're wondering why Rain from Mortal Kombat.
It's the same with those 2v2 lanes winning because the enemy team didn't think about Cannon Barrage, right? It's that extra little oomph that warps trades, and it does allow you to take over a map. So given Nuguri, especially as a player, is always eking out a flash-for-flash 50 health lead, that's a big swing if this Shen ult is up.
And the other thing about the Shen ultimate in this team composition is the Sylas was picked up. And that's a very, very scary ult when Sylas gets his hand on it.
It's a good point because that AP ratio has always been sky high. For him to maybe even do it better. I think I saw the interaction in maybe the LEC one time, but we just haven't had a lot of Shen so much.
It's pretty disgusting.
It is. And yeah, I have actually also seen it relatively recently, and it does work very, very well because you can affect one lane and then immediately leave and head to another. See whether that does actually come to fruition here, as this is the DAMWON roster that we're looking at. The variety of cannon that we see here is certainly up in the air because you've got theoretically 2 sources, 3 sources of magic damage outside with the Sylas and the Kai'Sa and the Gragas. So could be on hit cannon here. We'll have to find out as we get onto the Rift, guys. Game number 5. Who goes to Worlds out of Kingzone and DAMWON? DAMWON fans yelling and screaming. And in fact, I don't know what that was.
They're hitting. They're getting into fights or something. There's some...
That's a weird catfight. That we need to separate this crowd, I think.
Oh, and talk about ways to spice things up.
I'm listening.
In Infernal Dragon.
Oh.
To kick things off. And that's a prestige aristocracy, by the way. Even if DAMWON lose here, ShowMaker can say at least he had the prestige again.
Yeah, at least he looked good while he was losing.
Yeah. And here's a concern for the Nuguri side of the top lane matchup is that Nuguri's actually on the champion that frequently gets outscaled. He's on the AP cannon here against the Camille, so he's not necessarily known as your great teleport flanker, the Marin of the top lane. He's very much kind of the Longzhu Khan flavor of trying to dominate and take over games. So his ability to group, he had one really good AP cannon game, I believe halfway through spring, and then the next time out couldn't replicate it. So that's going to be a different look for Nuguri.
What if he's not AD?
Really? He's going to go AD with Kleptomancy? That's a very Nuguri move.
That is a very Nuguri
taken
move.
The timepiece.
But I genuinely feel like it might not be that bad of a situation if you just have Kai'Sa go AP.
You do auto-attack more.
You do that.
Yeah.
And the auto attacks are really good against Akali, Camille.
Do you win late game?
Shen.
Do you win late game side lanes against even just Akali, Camille, let alone Akali, Camille plus Shen?
And especially without pressing attack. Yeah.
So I feel like AP is on the cards, and yeah, you're right. Anything could happen, and any little lead you could eke, any tilt you could glean. It's a best of 1 for Worlds. It cannot get any higher in terms of the priority for the victory here for either team.
Well, TusiN, 100% win rate so far, but 100% loss rate for Naehyun's Akali. This was quite a while ago that he tried to pilot it.
But it doesn't fit his wheelhouse. Usually he's on the wave clear champions, right? Like we thought he was going to be a Lulu Karma player. Yes, his Yasuo has impressed us, but usually you think Azir, you think Orianna, you think Twisted Fate, these kind of picks for Naehyun. Akali definitely has a different side, and look, he's going to be ultra confident. He just pulled off a banger outplay to win game number 4, and yet it isn't necessarily the ShowMaker tier of Akali.
See whether the ShowMaker tier can actually be owned by the man himself on the Aatrox. Certainly has been one of our resident Aatrox players so far in the LCK. His ability to get farm on melee champions versus any opponent has been very impressive, but now this matchup's pretty okay as Nuguri Gets himself the lightning rush. Rascal winning out on these trades quite nicely. Nice tactical sweep there.
Rascal doing a pretty good job as both junglers now just going to trade Scuttle Crabs. And in terms of the scaling department, DAMWON Gaming, interestingly enough here in this final game match point, they're the ones that again find themselves on the back foot. And that's such an interesting dynamic where KingZone, in the deciding match, finally going into the scaling team compositions and finding aid there potentially.
And it's tricky too, because when and where do DAMWON attack to relieve pressure from double melee carries with great synergy with Sejuani? Already they're like, crap, I can't overextend easily. Then Shen gets ultimate, and that gets more tricky. And we're kind of saying that late game it's going to be outplays required, that conventional scaling doesn't suit them either. That's a lot of L's to stack up, and you have to be so careful, so judicious about when you choose your fights. And I wouldn't necessarily say that's a calling card of DAMWON Gaming or of rookie teams in a Game 5.
Yeah. I think on KingZone's side, I really like talking about, you know, scaling and win conditions and things like that, because I feel like KingZone is super flexible with this Shen composition that they've put forth for themselves, because their 1-3-1 potential with this comp is crazy out of control. Plus, they can still team fight with things like the Hextech Ultimatum, the Glacial Prison. There are lots of ways that they can navigate around this one if they can get the engages working in their favor. And I feel like TusiN will add a lot of flexibility to this comp.
Long-time Shen support player, Joker and TusiN definitely are standbys of that. Canyon knows that Sejuani's on the other side of the map, so this will be no counter gank possible if he can find an angle.
Yeah, you can see Deft actually is going aggressive here. Nuclear maybe bit off a little bit more than he can chew, but Canyon dives on forward. Deft knows that he's dead, and First Blood is going to go to the Kaiser. Meanwhile, TusiN in a little bit of trouble, gets the aftershock, but now they're going for it. Flash does have to be used as BeryL tries to get the body slam. In the meantime, Nuguri's going to have to be forced to flash here, but they'll trade a flash for a kill bottom side any day of the week.
There's the cross-map play attempted, but like you say, trade up from the side of DAMWON. The moment that the Krug ward found nobody and the lane state was where it was, licking his lips was Canyon, so the MVP of the regular season finds the first connection. Deft very quickly understood there was no chance he was getting out.
Yeah, out of mana, out of time.
Yeah, good call by him not to use any summoners. And honestly, I just want to point out the absolute cheating that these Infernal Chains were. I don't know how that catches Shen, but it managed to pull him back in. As, once again, another thing about this is ShowMaker got another roam off. And it did not cost him anything at all.
He teleported back to the lane, I believe, backed after that particular circumstance, and then got himself pretty opportune back timing there as well with the Mercury Treads. Now steals away a whole bunch of popcorn chicken.
Game not decided in that first play, and with what we were mentioning about all those problem areas for DAMWON to attack, they just need to kind of trade up every time they can, and win lane, win game is always a thing that can happen. Keeping Shen under turret removes the potential from those roam plays to be as straightforward without significant turret plate disadvantages potentially coming the way of Deft.
The other thing as well is that now it's Shen versus Gragas instead of the Braum versus Alistar, which was the early game matchups that we had in most of our earlier games, which was much better for KingZone in a laning phase.
And Gragas trades up against both Alistar and Shen. These lane-engaged champions, he can interrupt them so easily with his Aftershock and, in general, trade up in those scenarios. Cuzz going out of control ward.
Yep. Going to be able to do so pretty comfortably, and there's a control ward as well in the DAMWON jungle. They can spot exactly where the Sylas is, knows that he's nowhere near this Infernal Drake as BeryL finds the body slam, and Deft loses most of his health bar.
Nice trade there from the side of DAMWON. Deft thought he had a moment to open up. He didn't. Remember, there is a heal advantage for Deft in the 2v2. Heal versus cleanse.
Yep. Means that TusiN's not going to be able to reliably dive on top of Nuclear with his taunt though, so gonna have to try and get that cooldown before they go for any potential all-ins.
And then we're almost at the point where the headaches really start for DAMWON, because right now it's teleport advantage min, and soon it will be stand united as well. So DAMWON need to be very careful about where they try to put together some skirmishes, because the chances of an outroam are very high.
BeryL is also making it very dark for the bottom lane of Kingzone. Naehyun struggling to keep up with the wave clear here. Available as BeryL takes a decent trade there from Kingzone, but the cavalry is coming in. There's the killer instinct, and TusiN is just dead. Why they were engaging without flash on their Shen is a big question mark, and now DAMWON are thinking about trying to get more as Nuguri. He's being ganked from all angles right here, and it now looks like he's actually a blue side player.
Whoa.
Does manage to turn it around, though. Nuguri, what the heck? Are you going to be able to survive this as well? I think the answer is yes. He's even farming in the meantime. He's got himself 1 versus 2. The vision was there. Everything available for the little cannon.
It's a disaster. Double buffs and Infernal Drake with the double kill go the way of DAMWON Gaming. They thought that they could just wait it out. Rascal chose his moment. He chose wrong.
And you have to look at this from Kingzone's perspective. This all happened in the last minute and a half. And so what is their comms like right now? How are they holding it together? As, take a look at this. TusiN engages, and he doesn't actually take damage until after his Aftershock dissipates.
But also consider he engages when the roam had already happened from mid lane, and to also confirm, they had no ward for Akali to TP onto, could have TP'd onto a minion, chose not to. Here's the top side play. It's just a revolver onto Nuguri. Now Rascal starts to play low health, so you can understand
he didn't need
going
to go
in
that early.
Agreed. When do you go in? He actually goes in while Slicing Maelstrom is still active, and yet it's too late to actually save the health bar off, and too early to actually wait out the damage, so insult upon injury, double kill to Nuguri.
Yep, absolutely nothing that they could do. So a bit of a mistake from Kingzone's side, but still pretty perfect execution from Nuguri.
야, 장너구리 우리 부활했어.
Whoa, I got this. Is what he said.
He seemed as dumbfounded as everyone else.
Yeah.
Well, this is definitely a unfortunate situation for Kingzone as the first Infernal went down during all of that. And 3.5 minutes until the next Mountain Dragon comes up, which is just going to amplify their Baron taking potential. And if they roll another Mountain, it lines up almost perfectly against the Baron. And so there's a world where they have Infernal Mountain at 20 minutes.
And our paper's ripped up again, because what if they invest to Stand United and trade down? Because they have a gold disadvantage and made mistakes, Celeste, then it's the same as the Twisted Fate not getting the first ult off. So they have to be so careful. They need to know they are outnumbering and they have the kill potential, because the last kill calculation they did was very off on the cannon.
And the thing about Kingzone right now, even though they're down to the game 3,000 gold and an Infernal Dragon, they do have that scaling component. They were down last game, but managed to bring it back around.
ShowMaker's here.
Yep, going for another face check. Hijack on the Glacial Prison. Definitely one of the best options you can go for. Nuguri, Mark of the Storm onto Rascal. More plates being torn away. He's right in Rascal's kitchen right now, just running amok.
Oh, man.
Nothing. Rascal can't even enter lane against AP Cannon, and ShowMaker has been able to roam so easily with the Seeker's Arm Guard. Doesn't matter how much combat stats you have against a Aatrox when the Aatrox is roaming, and we're just not seeing that impact of Akali. That's permaban status for a reason on patch 9.16.
Yeah. Not feeling like it's that high impact at the moment. Got a lot of opportunities to get anything done. 3,000 gold, though, is the lead for DAMWON, and it has been where Kingzone have thrived in the past. Of course, remember, guys, game number 4, it was an early game similar to this, to be perfectly honest.
And you got to say, 4, arguably 5, but definitely 4 out of the 5 games, it has been DAMWON Gaming getting varying levels of big early game leads. So Kingzone could try to argue that they are taking matchups for the composition rather than for the early game, but more often than not, you're going to be punished heavily for the mistakes they've made, especially that engaged bot side when they had no right to do so.
The unfortunate thing, though, in this game is they don't have the long-range Azir to AoE wave clear and dissuade the dive attempt.
So how do they make it about what they do have? Because they still do have Stand United that should play around a lot of conventional rotation time.
Well, Shen has to stay away from Canyon, though. In addition to that, because if you just hand over the Stand United, then Kennen can Slicing Maelstrom into the whole team and get a Silas-enhanced Stand United, which is just a nightmare situation. So they need to make it to Camille and Akali's third items. They need to roll an Ocean Dragon on the next one so that DAMWON doesn't have a good Drake, and then just stop and prevent Baron at all costs.
It's going to be the Rift Herald summon bot side while plates are still up.
Yeah, Nuclear's got a lot of money
3 plates
ready to
for
come
Nuclear
into the
incoming.
Yep. That one's very quick. And this one is going to be uncontested. My God, they might even just get this full turret. And all the plates along with it. 30 seconds until they do fall down, and Shelly's going to do a great job tanking
And
this
we've
one up.
seen this rodeo before. It didn't end well for Kingzone, and Cuzz is 3 levels under Nuguri. So, gotta say, if you're a Kingzone fan, heart and mouth is appropriate at the moment.
Yep. Well, they're going to bring in Naehyun. They're hoping that 3 versus 1 is going to be the opportunity. Nuguri, this is the big test. Teleport going to come in. They're going to try and turn it around. There's the beginning of the fight. Slicing Maelstrom, he pings him with the Q there as well very nicely as the World Ender comes out from ShowMaker, and they are going to get the hell out of there. DAMWON, though, meanwhile, they got 3 members pushing on the bottom side, and yeah, Canyon can turn up top side if there's ever any shenanigans. Double turrets going down, and this is once again a gigantic snowball.
And is this how it ends, Kingzone Dragon X? Is this how the attempt to run the full gauntlet falls away? We've seen comebacks, but things are just really sliding into place. The moment that Cuzz took turret aggro before the minion wave arrived because he went half a second too early, Shen has the ult in order to answer. Everything is coming up. DAMWON Gaming. And right now, Kingzone, there's a couple of rabbits that need to be pulled from a couple of hats.
Well, I don't think they're going to get it. Infernal rolled again for DAMWON. And you have to be dishonest to say that there's a chance that Kingzone can get that Infernal, or should, in any universe, because
Deft has got the culling again.
Also, the word should, how much does it matter today, LS? Because we've been trying to follow the conventional, follow the on paper, and yet we've had a Baron stolen by the culling, we've had backdooring a minion by suiciding Pyke being the reason the team even got in a position to epic outplay. It's funny how best of ones with worlds on the line can warp all the woulda shouldas. And speaking of woulda shouldas, just using a tempo as the ult was about to run out, Stand United to take a turret.
Yep, well now Rascal's going for the 1v1 against Nuguri as in comes Cuzz. Gonna nail the ultimate this time, and now with 3 people, they're able to take down the little Pikachu.
This is the day for the miracles to happen, LS, and they get a 1 little advantage there. The ult was used mostly because it was about timeout by Canyon. But if Kingzone can come back to what we mentioned, their side lane advantages, if they can correct the map, they can steal a damn Baron. Anything is possible.
Oh, man.
Naehyun still looking for more here underneath the turret, but he probably doesn't want it. In they go. Killer Instinct is there, but Naehyun's going to be able to create the distance in order to get out. Infernal Chains have to be flashed, and TusiN gets to safety. But the turret is not going to be so lucky, and DAMWON continue to press forward.
Oh, it's a bit yucky. It's a bit yucky.
It's always perplexing to me when sometimes players try to over-defend an objective instead of just letting it go. Kingzone certainly not going to lose this game over a couple hundred gold, and so Naehyun should recognize that and be like, okay, have the mid-tier 1. We can't hang on to it anyway.
And
what about 7,000 gold?
And that's the thing is, yes, the 7,000 gold means that if we shake hands and chivalrously fight 5v5, yeah, you're going to get dumpstered. But remember that Kingzone still has Guerrilla Warfare, play side lanes with a Shen available. And if you got 3 people and they got 1, the overall gold lead doesn't matter. So if you can repel Baron and make the game about the 1, absolutely Kingzone, every man is an island. I want to play in the top and bot. Meanwhile, DWG Gaming are the super best friends. If they can force it to be about those islands, Kingzone can drag the game out. And we already saw from Game 4, anything can happen at 40 minutes.
Whether they can get themselves into that position is the question. So Deft, he's got himself his Caulfield's Warhammer and his Blade of the Ruin King completed. Should be an Essence Reaver coming in as item number 2 for the Lucian.
Love the control ward line and the items by DWG.
Yeah, that's one
They're
hell of a
saying,
reset.
we're going to stick 5 control wards on Baron, and you can try and play a side lane. You're losing Baron 100%.
Well, they might even be losing a Rascal here as well, who's a bit of a shout out to Invictus Gaming, not necessarily working out here. Does hookshot out of his own ultimate that was hijacked. And there's a bouncy castle here that he really didn't want to be invited to. That is a birthday party he will say no to next time as Kingzone lose their top laner.
That's the dirty secret, is that Kingzone have no Baron threat at all. So easily able to make those players a DWG, even though Nuclear doesn't have TP.
This game is looking very similar to the ones where DWG got massive leads early on, and there was no hope for Kingzone to come back. So even in a world where, and I know that's you, Papa, in a world
when.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Even if KingZone stole a Baron here, I think that the overwhelming pressure from 2 Infernals, they would probably lose shortly thereafter.
But more important question is, how will they steal the Baron? Because that's, of course, the real question we learned. We already had the culling somehow moving past 5 people.
Does the sword returning to TusiN deal damage to Baron?
No.
Don't think so, does it?
How about Canyon baits them in with Shen ultimate, then Shen ults out, but Akali puts the E onto him, Assassin's Mark across the map, and steals it with a Q.
Oh my God.
That's the way it happens.
I like
that. Has to
beat that. Come on, you two.
And also it has to be
jokers.
the drive-by Q that he uses on the way past the Baron to the top lane.
Outdo me.
No, you can't. You can't beat that. That's
I don't
that is
possible.
actually perfect.
I don't think it's possible.
All right.
I actually want to see someone try and do that in like the sandbox, you know? Like the
Naehyun, he could shuriken towards the pit, Shroud, with a Stand United on him, Shen could spawn and taunt the Baron.
To death. To death. That's possible now.
That's a hero play.
Especially if it's even better. He taunts the 5 members in the line, then flashes on the Baron.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. That's the biggest plays. This is a dead Infernal Drake. That goes to DAMWON when they were already
and another mount.
far ahead.
So,
Okay.
Feeling like
all right. The Volcano Drakes well and truly coming in here.
I feel like what they're trying to make is a hamburger with the colors, and Shake Shack did open up on the first.
That's true. We do have a local Shake Shack.
We do have a Shake Shack here.
For some reason,
no lettuce in yours, I think.
For some reason, in Korea, we have intensely long lines for Shake Shack. It's like a tourist destination for Koreans.
In-N-Out
here.
came to Korea. Did you know that?
It's a one-off thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's in Gangnam.
They're protecting their trademark by opening up once every X years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a bit cynical rather than exciting.
That's upsetting.
But this particular game we zoom into, the reason why is that the lull state is really only because DAMWON took everything. So, like, they pretty much own the map, but they're unable to extend their lead. The Baron only just spawned. They don't have control wards yet, so one more recall is required to just jam 5 around Baron, but they're on the way. They're on the way.
Well, Rascal is in a side lane. He's got a 44 CS disadvantage. Pushes another wave. Canyon gets himself a perfect execution.
It's just me, or is the sound of the hijack really loud? As the Baron is already started.
It is quite loud. And now it's TusiN's time to shine.
All right.
BeryL's almost dead.
All right, Baron's still incoming. Here we go.
TusiN is in position. Who's going to be able to steal it? Cuzz gets forward, but it's the Silence that locks it down. Now the team fight has come on in. Nuguri right in the middle, slicing everyone up. The Piggy, the first one to go down, is ShowMaker. Grabs the next one. Deft still alive, but he's decided to flash the hell out of there because there was no way they were going to win. And what the hell, that outplay from BeryL.
Outplayed so hard.
What a god. Okay, and now DAMWON, it's just a matter of chasing down Naehyun, who flashes over this wall and might be able to get to relative safety.
Oh, the priest.
Nope. The what? The Prey Seeker?
Void Seeker.
The Void Prayer. Got
the
it.
Void Prayer.
I'm here all day.
Well, I mean, I don't know whether they might be Prey Seekers afterwards, but maybe Nuclear saved himself after this, as DAMWON are going to break open the base and take down the inhibitor.
Game won't end here.
Oh, they haven't actually taken the inhib just yet, but Cuzz may have overstepped, does go golden. ShowMaker tries to pull down the body slam, but he may not even need to, as in goes TusiN, gets a decent taunt as the damage is there from Deft. And they lock up the Silas and now think about pushing them away. The inhibitor did die though. Now they get to go home, reset, 2 minutes left on the Baron after that has happened, and keep pushing down.
Now they have a slight gold lead here, Papa.
Yeah,
so
a little bit.
What do you think DAMWON could do with it?
Well, let's give me a moment to think about that as we watch the Baron here. You know what? DWG give chances. They don't need to make Baron plays. They're as close as they are, but they go for it anyway. The gold lead means so much. KingZone have to outplay, unable to. I hope we get this replay. Look at this. By the way, BeryL sidesteps it, then boops him to death. That is what we call getting owned.
Yep, absolutely owned. I'd love to see that from both vision perspectives as well as Sword.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the dream.
That's a bullseye. All right, so break it down for me, Papa. 11,000 gold, double Infernal. How can DAMWON possibly win this game?
How can... Well, I think I know how they can win.
You know, it's really hard because there's not a lot of objectives to play around, so I don't know why everyone's chilling out, why someone 4v1s your person who got Stand United on. So the answer, sadly, LS, is they probably don't. In fact, they shouldn't. It would be a catastrophe from a DAMWON perspective if KingZone was to find a way back. And yet, after what's happened today, I'm not using any more hard language. I'm a softie, just for Game 5.
Yeah, let's just allow this one to play itself out as this base is once again being cracked. It is going to go down. Decent ultimate there as Cuzz drops down the Gargoyle Stone Plate, but Deft is immediately piled on and destroyed. Rascal hijacked himself. A decent amount of damage there with the ultimate from the Hextech Ultimatum, and Naehyun, he has to go onto the fountain with the Stand United from TusiN. And now with only 2 members alive, I think that is all that she wrote. DAMWON may have just punched their ticket to Europe and will be our 3rd seed at the World Championship. They'll be playing in play-ins, the darlings of Rift Rivals, and it's now SKT, Griffin, and DAMWON Gaming from the LCK.
And that's a big victory for the rookie squad, only promoted at the start of 2019. Coach Kim Jung-soo is going back to Worlds. He did it with IG last year. They will be playing through the play-in stage, so famously the first Korean team to ever play through play-ins. But as a young squad, I'm sure they're actually welcoming the chance to get used to playing on the European stage and work their way into a world championship.
And I think that is actually going to be the most favorable thing for them. They're going to get international experience even more. They're going to have a chance to warm up in the group stages, and then they have a chance to Royal Roll the World Cup, which is not something that gets to happen almost at all anymore. And with franchising in so many leagues, not something that can really occur anymore.
It's the first time a Challenger team has ever qualified for Worlds after promoting in the same year. So really impressive stuff from DAMWON Gaming. Hats off to KingZone. They brought it to DAMWON. They stole the couple of games that they needed to, but just couldn't quite get over the line in game number 5. Nuguri with his sick 1 versus 2 outplay in game 5 there as well, and they were made to earn this World Championship berth. And I really hope that a real hard slog like this best of 5 is going to be as beneficial as it can be for this team now debuting on the international stage outside of Rift Rivals.
A lot of rookies debuting on the international stage. Do spare a thought for KingZone Dragon X, who, given all their off-field issues, who knows if this roster will ever play together again. They were able to yo-yo between the best team in Korea and the 7th best team in Korea pretty reliably in summer, and it's so hard to know the what-ifs, the whys, and all of the explanation. But they definitely put together a competitive series, and whichever of these 2 teams went forward, they would have been super watchable, super exciting to see. Deft will not return to Worlds in 2019. So KingZone Dragon X, their story ends here all the way up, says Nuclear, when it comes to the victory here for DAMWON Gaming. And what they make of themselves now that DAMWON and Griffin go from scrimming the best at Worlds to actually playing in Worlds will be so interesting, because DAMWON are a Korean team that gives chances, and they can beat anyone and they can lose to anyone.
The other interesting thing is how they're going to match up against other regions, most in particular NA and EU, because DAMWON likes to fight.
Oh yeah.
And their solo laners really like to get scrappy and take duels very often.
But it's best of 1s, right? And if you haven't played against DAMWON Gaming before and they haven't played against you, and you camp top and get the 3 kills, maybe Nuguri doesn't get back into the game. And the chances they bring means to me, this is a team that couldn't be a 6-0 group stage team in main stage. I think they will give chances. They will lose games. But like you say, they can be that proverbial blue shell where any first place squad could be upset by DAMWON, but that doesn't mean they couldn't lose to a 2nd or 3rd place LMS team.
And the thing that I really love about sending DAMWON to Worlds is that I feel like we've got a real array of the LCK styles that we've had throughout this year. I mean, SKT, very slow and steady, very methodical when they want to be, as well as Griffin being a little bit crazy, but otherwise slower. And DAMWON can be our fast and loose, let's just try and make some plays and make things happen team. I think it's really cool that we get all the flavors of the LCK now represented to see exactly which one is going to work.
And I think the LCK will be richer for DAMWON getting that first trip to Worlds because they won't have that much expected. They're not expected to win Worlds by any means.
Yeah.
But young players get to go international, get to understand what that means, and they'll bring that experience back for the LCK in 2020. This roster is already contracted for next year, so very likely to stay together and very likely to once again be assaulting for those top spots.
Take a look at some of the highlights, and you know, we're talking a lot about DAMWON and DAMWON at Worlds, but I do want to point out that Deft, he played really, really well this series.
Oh yeah.
He was, it felt like,
especially, he's been on point.
He was the final boss in this series in so many team fights, and also when he was zoned out, you could see how different a lot of team fights were. Naehyun, insane Azir performance on that carry, but Deft, he was the standout player for me of all 10 of them.
And you do wonder if he'll really be thinking about that Lucian pick that he returned to multiple times, this time without the Braum. I think it's very easy because it's Deft to just look past it, but will it be easy for Deft to uncouple it? Because remember, he's had bogey champions before.
Yeah.
His Kalista before has been a bogey champion. His Ezreal left open and not selected in place of Lucian Braum into the Lucian Shen. They wanted an escape so they could play a roaming support like Shen. Would have been the Ezreal, but without the Tahm Kench, I guess he's feeling like with the Ezreal nurse, he needs the ability to arcane shift in aggressively, otherwise the pick isn't worth it, but we could only know the answer by actually speaking to him.
And his Lucian was good in a lot of moments.
So slippery on the Lucian, and he gut in, gut out. He maximized damage output in so many situations. His culling saved them in the entire series by stealing the Baron. I know that we can't give MVP votes or awards to players on the losing team, but Deft really felt like to me.
Well, maybe we could have our own MVP vote because there isn't one for the Worlds qualifier. So if you can give it over to Deft if you would like to, that's absolutely fine.
I'm going to go conventional, but maybe not the thought as we're listening to the comms here of the last moments here, understanding they're going to go to Worlds. I'd be in BeryL's court. I think BeryL had a really good series here. The Alistar Gravis both strong. Let's listen in here as they realize they're going to Worlds. Nuclear, the only player who's gone to Europe before, was on H2K memorably, and he is a player that people will look to attack at the World Championship. He hasn't necessarily been the blue chip that a lot of the other players are, and yet, if he can play his role, Nuguri and ShowMaker can pick up plenty of slack.
Exactly, and also if Nuclear is going to be the target, then I have a feeling that ShowMaker and Nuguri is going to be pretty happy about that one because they can feel free to outplay in their own lanes. It has actually been a trap for a lot of our LCK teams here as well, trying to target what feels like the weak link and then realizing that actually there's an avalanche coming towards them.
Well, we're going to have an avalanche of emotion. Surely we're going to have an interview with our winning DWG gaming team.
Oh, please. I hope
those young
it's
players.
Nuguri. I hope it's
I think it's going to be the full squad, right? Nuguri is a great interview, but you're going to be emotional.
It's going to be the full squad. I got it right here.
Okay, thanks.
He says after on-camera turning around.
Well, speaking of which, we're going to throw it over to Ji-Sun for some translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Ji-Sun with the interview translation, and we'll be hearing from the full squad of DWG Gaming and the head coach Kim. Whoa, this is your rookie year, but you made it to Worlds. How do you feel right now? I saw you in tears after DAMWON's victory. Well, I feel great. All of our players are doing a great job, so I'm really thankful for them. Well, DAMWON did have a hard time in the playoff round too. However, you guys look different today, especially about the mentality. So, how did you prepare for that? Nothing special for the mentality thing, it's all about experience. So before the game today, not like the usual preparation, I told them, let's not lose powerlessly. Today is the last day, so if we lose, let's go to the Han River or something like that, you know, let's do or die. So we've been preparing so hard. So going to Han River in this time of big typhoon would be so risky, but this will never happen. So let's move on to Nuguri. So, Nuguri, you were the players of the most first-blooded, but today none of it happened. You became more consistent in the laning phase. What changed so far? Well, the change.
원래 제가 하는
Well,
플레이 스타일보다 좀
my usual play style.
큰 무대다 보니까 좀
Well,
되는 것도 있고.
I was a little bit nervous because it's a very big stage, so I was actually more passive.
아쉬워가지고 없을 때 에라 모르겠다.
I was like feeling like I wasn't doing perfectly up until the game number 4. So game 5, I went to my original style.
기분이 좋습니다. 자, 그리고 오늘 경기의 핵심 픽 역시 야나가스였죠.
Yasuo Gragas was the main competition for today's match overall. However, you guys never tried it in the regular split. Well, up until now, I was one-trick pony on Corki or Kali, but everyone found it out, so I thought I should prepare something new. So Yasuo, that I'm confident. Well, so I went back for the Yasuo. So you did pull off a great fight on Yasuo Gragas, but also Kingsman played it as well. I'm confident in both ways, playing it or playing against it.
역시 서머 정규 시즌 MVP 1위에 빛나는.
So that was the answer from the MVP winner of the regular split of the summer split. And Nuclear, you stick to Kai'Sa for many games, except for a game that Kingsman took away. So I think Kai'Sa was the key that connects well to the DAMWON's composition. Well, our team prefers aggressive play style, so I wanted to blend in that kind of play style, and also Kai'Sa is champion that you can make a play, and I'm really confident at Kai'Sa. Moving on to BeryL. So your performance on Alyssa in the early games in the qualifier series was really awesome, so we have a highlights list. Let's take a look together.
자, 날카로운 진입이었는데 상황 어땠나요?
So how did you see this angle? So we were pushing the side lane, and Renekton was able to go for a flank. So we were trying to pull off some of the aggressive plays.
팀적인 판단을 통해서 이렇게 미드를 밀고.
So you guys were able to sneak down the mid lane and get the victory. Well, after losing game number 2, you got game number 3. However, Kingsman was able to turn the game around game number 4. As a team's captain, what was the focal point for game number 5? Well, in game number 4, we were in a huge lead. However, we led them and turned the game around. So after the game, I just wanted to keep my players, cheered up. However, they were so good at it, doing it by themselves. So I was trying to cheer up myself. So we have another highlight here for Nuguri. You know what it is, right? The double kill in the lane. So let's take a look at the highlight for game number 5. How was that even possible? Well, at that moment, our players were playing around the bot side. So I was a bit greedy over there, but things went okay. Well, I did make a good trade on Camille, so I was thinking of making a some play. But somehow, I was lucky to make that play. Did you know that you're gonna get 2 kills? Well, I thought it's gonna be like one-on-one, taking Camille with me, but I never expected that I will be able to get 2 kills over there and survive because I had the flash. I was really lucky. So, head coach, did you hear the players screaming in the mic check? Well, I was in the players' room and it was too loud, so I couldn't really hear them because we were all yelling in the waiting room as well. So, would you like to say anything for the players? I mean, the players, they lack experience, so I'm so proud of them that they made it here. And I'm really thankful for them for showing such a great performance today. So you guys are heading to Europe.
웃으세요.
Happy face, please.
자, 떨리시기도 하고 설레시기도
And it's
하고
gonna be a little bit nervous
베릴
and also
선수부터
you guys are gonna be very
한번
excited.
들어볼까요?
저희가
Well,
국제대회는 리프트 라이버즈가
we only been
처음이었는데
to Rift Rivals,
한국에서 했으니까 별로 국제대회
but it was in Korea, so I never
저희가
felt
롤-
like an international
큰
tournament.
롤드컵에 나가게
Now
됐는데
we're
한국
attending to the biggest
대표
one,
팀으로서
the World.
열심히
So as a
하겠습니다.
representative
감사합니다.
of LCK, we will do our best.
네, 클리어 선수는 혹시 개인적인
Nuclear,
목표가 있다면
is there any personal goal for Worlds? Winning?
아무래도 우승이기도 한데
Winning,
제가
of course.
유럽에서 이제 LC2K라는 팀에 있을
When
때
I was in
그때
H2K
아마
in
롤드컵
Europe,
선발전을 fnatic이라는 팀한테
I
졌었거든요.
actually lost the
이번에
World's
가서
Gauntlet up
Fnatic
against
한번
Fnatic,
잡아보고
so I want to get my revenge on them. I want to take them
꼭
down.
성공하시길 바라겠습니다. 그리고 쇼메이커 선수는 혹시 특별히
And
이 선수
ShowMaker,
만나보고
Is
싶다
there
하는 선수
any
있을까요?
specific player that you want to see at Worlds?
안 되는데 만약에 IG가
Well,
오면
they're not
루키 형님 한번
decided
만나서
yet, but I really want to see
한번 해보고
Rookie from
싶어요.
IG at Worlds.
몇번 따실 건가요?
How many solo kills are you gonna get?
나이지만 안 할게요.
I just try my best to not get solo killed.
현실적인 목표를 세우신 건가요?
That's a bit
잘하실 수 있을
realistic,
거라고 믿습니다.
but I
자,
believe
그럼
that you're
케냐
gonna do a
선수도
great job up
롤드컵
against him.
각오 들어볼게요.
그냥 롤드컵
Well,
가서도
At
스마
Worlds,
연습만 좀 많이 하고
I will practice on my
다음엔
smite ability
오브젝트 싸움 때 좀 잘
and do
쓰겠습니다.
better in our objective fights at Worlds.
이유가 오늘
Kenyon, I think you're a little bit
점이 많이
depressed
있으셨나 봐요.
from your
괜찮으세요?
performance today. Are you feeling okay?
이겨서 상관없어요.
Well, it doesn't really matter because I won.
알겠습니다. 월드 챔피언십에서도 좋은 모습 보여주시길 기대하겠고요. 자, 그리고
And
너구리
lastly,
선수도
Nuguri.
지금 세계에서 우리 담원 게이밍을 기다리고 있는
There are a lot
많은
of global
팀들에게
fans and
한
teams
말씀
waiting for
선전포고
Damwon Gaming.
부탁드립니다.
제가 이번에 롤드컵 가게 됐는데
Well, I
열심히
made it to Worlds this year.
무대에서 경험도 부족하고
And
하지만
our
또
team,
그만큼
Damwon, doesn't have much
형식에 잘할 수
experience
있을 거라 생각하거든요.
on big stage,
기대하시고
but at the same
긴장하셔-
time, we have a
하셔야
very
될것
huge
같습니다.
young spirit in our souls. So I want all of them to brace themselves and get ready for it.
긴장할 거라고 생각을 합니다. 마지막으로 감독님
And
다시 돌아왔습니다.
lastly,
팬분들에게
back
한
to you,
말씀
head coach Kim.
남겨주시죠.
Any message for the fans?
일단 저희가 올해
Well,
처음 올랐는데 이렇게
this
많은
is our first
팬분들이
year in
응원해 주신 게
LCK,
도움이 정말
so
많이 됐다고 저는
It really helped us a
생각을
lot getting all the
정말
cheers and support from the
팬분들께 항상
fans.
감사하게
So
생각하고
I always
좋은
appreciate all the love and
경기력을
support.
보여드릴 수 있도록
And
항상 노력하고
We will do our
롤드컵
best to
가서도
show great
다른
performance.
팀들이 다른
and
LCK
also
팀들이 우승을
at
못하면
Worlds,
저희라도 꼭
even-
우승을 하고 오겠습니다.
Well, if there's a situation where any other LCK teams are not able to win the Worlds, we will make it.
롤드컵에서 아주 좋은 성적 거두고 돌아오게 되지
Wish you the best of
않을까
luck at
그렇게
Worlds,
생각을
Damwon
해보겠습니다.
Gaming.
오늘 승리 정말
And thank you very much
축하드리고요.
for this
준비
interview.
철저히 하셔서 꼭 멋있는 모습으로
So this will be the end of the interview
좋겠습니다.
with
오늘 인터뷰
Damwon Gaming
감사합니다.
players and the head coach Mok-young Kim, and I'm gonna pass it back to our
네, 담원
casters.
게이밍과
Thank you.
함께했습니다.
Thank you so much, Ji-sun, for your interview translation as usual, and Nuguri bouncing up and down as he often does. Was a treat to see DAMWON Gaming, our third seed for the World Championship. They will be playing in play-ins, and then immediately afterwards playing in the group stage, because there's no chance that they will lose play-ins.
And you can't
Right,
necessarily,
guys?
if you look back, you can't necessarily hate SKT, Griffin, Damwon, given what we've seen so far. There's no one else who really has a definitive argument that they should be there over those two. Kingzone will be the closest because, of course, they've had periods where they've looked dominant, but that lack of consistency is what really cost them in the end. The fact that they didn't make playoffs was a huge surprise.
Where's Jinair?
Well, they're in a different type of playoffs starting very soon. So
Yeah,
good
exactly.
point there. Nice advertising.
You have just segued extraordinarily
Exactly.
well to what will be the last of Papa Smithy's Korean broadcasting. It'll be the promotion tournament, and Hanwha Life and Jin are going to be fighting for their lives.
I've
Try
seen
and stay
this
in the LCK.
show before. Okay, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson came back to WWE a couple of times, and
I want
You
to,
are
baby.
looking-
I'll be back. If there's a guest spot, I'll be here as we get that confirmation. Kingzone 3-1 over Afreeca just 4 days ago. Remember, every 2 days playoff was played. Kingzone over SANDBOX as well, and there were chances. Kingzone could have won this series as well, but in the end, the door was shut closed by DAMWON Gaming in a 24-minute Game 5.
Yeah, but it was a 5-game series, and it was our new team in the LCK for 2019 making their way all the way up. I mean, SANDBOX, another team in that position but weren't able to do it. But this is going to be the promotion tournament.
Look at the dates here, guys. So Monday, 2 p.m. start. In case you're wondering, that's Korean time. Usually we start at 5 p.m. every day, so 3 hours earlier than you're used to. Then the winners matches are on Tuesday. They start at 1 p.m., so 4 hours earlier than you're used to. So North America potentially could be watching in prime time. The final match, that'll actually be my only relegations cast, will be on Wednesday, 5 p.m. normal time. Pop will be back one more time. You and I, Atlas, will go out. We'll have some Aussie-isms. We'll talk about things that only 1% of our audience understand. And then riding off into the future. But there are 3 more days of Korean League of Legends left in 2019.
Yeah, and Ellis and I are going to try not to lose our minds on the Tuesday.
Oh, boy.
Which,
double best of 5.
Yeah, I'm
a little bit worried.
What?
A little bit worried.
We get to cast Jin Air.
How about 10 games, baby?
How about 10 games?
Look, I know that you missed out on the summer finals, Atlas, but the real finals are just on the horizon.
The real finals are not even the finals of the promotion tournament. That is what we're waiting for. Well, guys, you're going to have to be there to see whether we expire during that particular broadcast. But once again, congratulations to DAMWON Gaming. Incredible. Now we've got all 3 of our LCK teams that we're going to be seeing in October for the World Championship of 2019. We all have our fingers crossed for getting Korea back on top just before Papa Smithy leaves us. Good night, everyone. We'll see you at the promotion tournament.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, all with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. 'Cause this is the beginning.